Charles Wesley Godwin on the podcast. And I'm not blowing smoke right here. I was saying this to Wes before we started. I was driving today and I went to the gym. I was listening to both your albums, and I have been for a long time. And I was like, you're probably like my favorite artist right now. Like no bullshit. Like I'm like going back to my kid loves it. He's a year and a half. I play your stuff. The upbeat stuff he likes. He's getting used to the slower stuff. Yeah. But man, I'm like, you're people that don't know who you are, I almost like get offended. So that's when I know like somebody's like one of my favorite artists. So just wanted to give you a shout out about that.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. But so the new album is How the Mighty Fall, following Seneca, which was amazing as well.
Yeah.
The storytelling and the imagery and everything, the way you write, I mean, it's pretty spectacular. In my opinion, there's not a lot of people out there that can do what you do. Where did that come from, the writing?
Man, I didn't find music until I was already grown up. So I started in my early 20s, probably started writing songs when I was 22. And it just, luckily, I found it. It turned out to be one of the things that I love in life. And I just got a passion for it. And nobody ever taught me. I just, I don't know. I just worked at it. And it's something, honest to God, man, I just love it. And I think even if I wasn't doing this for a living, I'd probably write these same songs and go down to an open mic, once or twice a week and play them for fun. I'm honestly in it for the love of it.
I mean, that's the best.
How did you get started? Because I think I read on your website that you were in Estonia when you really started kind of like honing in on like, oh, maybe I want to like do some music when you were studying abroad. Is that the case?
Yeah, that was like the turning point. That was like the turning point in my life. I had just picked up the guitar, maybe not even a whole year before I'd gone on that study abroad. Just maybe a matter of months. And I had just picked the guitar up to have like a productive hobby. That's all I thought, I was in for, just to have something to do rather than just always like hanging around doing nothing, if I wasn't working out or in class. Can't go hunting or fishing every day when I'm in town going to school. So yeah, that it just all started out like it's just something else to do, that would be, better. And I never sang in front of anybody growing up, still hadn't at that point. And then, I went on my study abroad and I continued kind of strumming some songs and stuff in the evening. And I lived with 5 other flatmates, and, there's just no way around it. They were going to hear me do that, for 20, 30 minutes in the evening. And, they got to where they really enjoyed it, and they'd come in and listen to me. And I was kind of like, I was pretty uncomfortable, to be honest. Like, it's not like I wanted to play in front of anybody, but I didn't have any choice, because I did want to keep, practicing. And then it just kind of snowballed from there, man. I started playing my first gigs over there. And then once I played my first one, I was like, this is like the easiest work I've ever done in my life. I got to do this when I get back. And then that changed everything. And I came back to West Virginia, started singing bluegrass music in a college band. And the rest is history. That I was on this path.
It's so awesome, because I feel like there's a lot of people that there's like a motivational speech where they talk about like the graveyard is the richest place in the world, because that's like where all ideas go to die. Like people that don't go for it, right? Like, you're like, oh man, like you had that, you didn't try for it, you didn't try to start that business or whatever. So for you, because a lot of times you talk to an artist, it's, oh, my dad was playing, or it's like you have this ability, you didn't even know it.
I know.
And back in the old days of like when American Idol was actually entertaining and not like what it is now, back at the beginning, you would see these like bad auditions and you'd be like, why isn't their family telling them that they're not good? Like my dad would be like, go lay fucking concrete, dude, like get out of here.
I know what you're talking about.
So it's like, it's cool that like you don't hear very often. It's a very unique kind of start, and I think it's a good lesson for a lot of people to kind of go for it. You're gonna know if you have something, right, once you start.
Yeah, I knew, once I started playing gigs, like probably like right after that first one, I knew. I was like, oh, it kind of like a light bulb went off because I played sports my whole life growing up. So I knew what it looked like to see talent, like God-given talent. Everybody
Yeah.
that played sports growing up, for the most part, 99% of us are out there just absolutely sucking and not really athletic at all. And then there's like that 1% of folks out there that's like, oh, if this person really wanted to, they could play like high level, they could play college and they could go forward. So I knew what it looked like for somebody to have like God-given ability and things. And I never had that in anything, growing up. And luckily I just feel fortunate that I found the one thing in life that I did have some God-given talent for. And, if I had to, throw my hat in the ring on how I think things work, I think every single person on earth probably has a thing that they're a complete natural at. It's just a matter of whether they find it or not.
Right. And the sad reality is that most people probably don't find that, right?
I know.
It seems like
a
super
shame.
pessimistic view, but that's kind of the feeling that I get, is that most people don't really find that, or have the luxury of trying to go find that.
Yeah, like let's say like maybe somebody that's like living in poverty in Costa Rica, like for all, like they might be the best hockey player to ever live, but they don't even get the chance to get on a rink.
Well,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like there's probably all kinds of stories like that all over the world, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's a shame.
Sports is a great thing to bring up. We had a note here. You wanted to play football at West Virginia, correct?
Yeah, more than anything, man. That was my dream.
What position?
I tried out for linebacker and just straight up didn't even make it. You know how like it was like the walk-on tryout?
Yeah.
2 hours one morning. I did that whole thing 3 times and just never made it.
Yeah, I grew up, I played football. I was like a wide receiver, and basketball, I was like your standard Eastern European basketball player. I just shot threes.
3-point
guy.
Yeah.
Just shot threes. I just
Silky
shot threes.
smooth.
Yeah. But
no hops.
Yeah. But that's interesting because when you're talking about talent and stuff, it's like in sports, it's a great example. There's so many examples of like athletes who don't put in that extra work. And then it's like they never reach that potential. And I just saw a video about, I think Cam Haynes, who I'm sure you're aware of, the hunter, posted a Kobe Bryant clip, which is so crazy that he's gone. But he was talking about, he's like, if I woke up at 3 a.m. and I could get in like another 2 hours of like a workout in, everybody else is sleeping. And then as the years go by, it like compounds on itself. And he goes, there's no way anybody's going to even come close to remotely putting in the work that I am. And I assume the same goes for music and songwriting and guitar playing, and you just get better and better. You surround yourself with people that share the same vision. Maybe you've struck a friendship up with Zach Bryan, right?
Yeah.
So did you guys kind of feed off each other in some of those ways when it comes to like the musicianship?
I think we both inspire each other for sure. And we both respect each other's work, and it probably informs what we do. We haven't written together, because we each are kind of in our own corners of the country with a lot of different things going on. But yeah, I think kind of like where you're getting at there with the hard work, music is, I think it's similar to sports in some ways, in other ways not. Like somebody that's a pure player and they're trying to master their instrument, it probably would be a lot like, somebody in sports putting that extra time in the weight room or something like that with their practicing and stuff. But then also there's one aspect in music that sports doesn't have, and that is like, at least me with songwriting, just going out and living life and not thinking about it helps me write a better song, and my opinion. Like that, just living a little bit allows me to get a bank of ideas and thoughts and stories and experiences of different people and stuff that informs my writing. Whereas like in sports, I don't think it does anybody any good not to be locked in and like working to get better. You know, I doubt Tom Brady ever is like, you know what, man, I'm going to take 3 months and just live with my family and not do anything with football.
Right.
You know, that probably wouldn't help him. But, you know, that is one nice, in my opinion, nice thing about music, especially the songwriting. It's almost like you're getting work in just by being out in the world a little bit and not being so locked in on it sometimes.
Yeah, I almost feel like when I'm least stressed, I can be more creative, if that makes sense. I don't know if that translates to music, but
yeah, I see it now. I've seen it now in 2 album cycles with me. You know, I've done both of my albums independently, and with that comes a lot of stress. And creativity definitely like takes a huge down, goes way down in those in the months leading up to releasing an album. And then it's like a huge weight has gotten lifted off my shoulders each time, and I can already feel it coming back.
What was growing up in West Virginia like? Because you know, musically, Wes and I were joking before, like we listened to a lot of Brad Paisley in college, and I'm thinking he's from West Virginia, but I'm like, when I talk to you and I see you, and I'm like, this is a West Virginia guy.
Yeah.
Brad Paisley to me is not a West. I don't know. Brad Paisley does not seem like he's from West Virginia.
Doesn't
I always see that. I'm like, what the hell?
He is, you know, he is, man. He's born and raised.
Is he talked about? Like, who are the people talked about? I'm from Indiana originally, so
yeah,
you had John Mellencamp and Michael Jackson and, you know, stuff like that. But
yeah,
was there musical influence that people talked about, or were you just kind of like a regular guy like us, just listening to whatever you liked? And when it came to like the state and like the people,
I got you. I've always taken great pride in my home. You know, to me, I didn't know anything else, so I've just always loved West Virginia, my home, and my family's from one of the most beautiful places in the country, and you know, the most beautiful area of the state, which is around Seneca Rocks. But yeah, growing up, man, to be honest with you, I wasn't very musical, so my dad listened to oldies radio when I was a kid, and I remember having like Beatles songs stuck in my head and CCRs, a lot of CCR songs stuck in my head. Probably CCR. I had a CCR song stuck in my head from like age 5 to 9, I bet, because, you know, the radio that my dad listened to. But again, like I never played and never just figured I couldn't sing. So it's not like I ever pursued that. And then when I got into school, you know, and all, I just, the only music that I ever consumed was whatever was thrown right in front of my face, which is basically just top 40. Never connected with me. It didn't really inform my life in any way. What I loved was, you know, hunting and sports and fishing.
I just looked up Seneca Rocks, by the way. You're not kidding. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous area. So I grew up around that. So that definitely informed, you know, my life. A lot of different characters around in there that I had the pleasure of getting to know because of my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, and my parents. So yeah, but I was definitely always aware of like Kathy Mattea. Like Kathy Mattea's Christmas album played in my house every year, you know, during the holidays. And, you know, I think everybody in West Virginia takes great pride in Brad Paisley and how well he's done, because he is born and raised in Moundsville. He went to John Marshall High School and came up playing like the Wheeling Jamboree, which, you know, had some glory days. It used to be a big radio show, kind of like the Opry, you know, it was down that vein. Yeah. And there was a guy, Stoney Cooper and Wilma Lee was a famous like country music couple that grew up around Pendleton County and Tucker County. And my grandparents actually knew them from growing up. I think Stoney Cooper was actually born up on the Allegheny Mountain, if I remember the story right. So like, you know, I knew about all that stuff, but again, like I wasn't musical at all. So I just figured, you know, I always enjoyed those stories and stuff and took great pride in it, but it's not like I ever sought to follow in their footsteps until I discovered music way later,
Is John Denver Take Me Home Country Roads, is that like do people actually like that, or is that like the whole like wagon wheel thing?
No. We love it.
Okay.
We love it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what
I
we
wasn't
sing
sure
about.
because I
Yeah.
think Brad has played it like at halftime. I think I've
Oh
seen
yeah,
before.
man. Dude, every time the Mountaineers win, the whole stadium sings it together.
Okay.
Basketball, football. It's
Football's not looking so good this year.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough. I hope those kids come on strong. I hope they get better. As I've gotten
great
older,
song,
I realize, yeah, man, I hope, yeah, thanks, man. I hope, as I've gotten older, I've definitely tamed down in my, in my thoughts and feelings towards college sports. I'm very aware now that they are kids. So I hope those kids get better, and I hope we have some good seasons going forward.
Having a kid does that too. I think Wes and I both
used to get all fired up about that, man. And now it is a huge bummer that we're not very good. It sucks losing. I just hope they get better, man. I just want the best for those kids.
You're the most positive guy.
I know. Trust me, man. Like, I've had my days where I go down that path, and I'll still do that with the pros because they're grown men, so they can, but I'm not going to sit here and diss kids. I just hope they do well.
Yeah.
Well, the Bears drafted Kevin White with the first round pick a few years back. He's been such a bust.
He's
what a shame.
Isn't he playing he's playing for the Saints now?
Yeah.
Is he back?
I thought he was selling insurance somewhere.
Yeah.
I saw him. I go, oh shit! Like he got drafted by the Bears and his leg fell off. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh man, that was such a bummer because.
Oh, who's the quarterback though? That
Geno Smith.
Oh, that was Geno that I was thinking of.
Yeah, Geno. He played for he's with Seattle.
Back up.
I think.
Yeah.
I think Russell's back, but he started some games. He's done well for himself. Yeah. But yeah, man, Kevin White, that was a shame, dude. Because
he was a stud. Man.
I thought he was. It's funny in the pros, like what you think is a sure thing, doesn't turn out to be the case. I remember when the Chiefs drafted Mahomes. Like,
everybody was like, huh?
Like, and I'll admit it. Like, I was like, bust. Just because when he was at Texas Tech, I just remember him playing the Mountaineers, and man, like he had a cannon on him, but like that ball would be hanging up there forever. And I'm like, that's never going to work in the pros. But obviously Andrew Reid, snatched him up, knew exactly what he was doing, and he came out there. And he's going to end up being one of the best quarterbacks ever.
Meanwhile, the Bears drafted Mitch Trubisky. I got a lot of Bears problems.
Well, yeah, but
Wes is in Chicago. Yeah,
I thought Kevin White. I was like, man, Kevin White's going to be a Pro Bowler. And,
right. And the Bears
it's a shame.
Struggled with wide receivers prior to Allen Robinson now, but it's like. I mean, they haven't had one for 20 years.
But also Texas Tech has that offense. At least they did, where it was just like the quarterbacks would break everywhere. Was that Texas Tech in Hawaii? Like these weird schools where like they would put up these insane numbers, but then they never translate to the pros. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird situation. I'm a Vikings fan, so I just want the whole coaching staff to get fired. I'm just so sick of this talent getting wasted all these years. So once you have a kid though, like you have a child, right?
Yeah.
We all have young kids. I feel like, well, for me, the turning point with not being a psycho sports fan, I started just gambling more.
Yeah.
With that, which is fun because then the game doesn't like your rooting interest kind of doesn't matter in terms of like your team. But the whole thing about like with the kid and like me acting crazy it gets just like everything tones down a little bit. And then when the Cubs won the World Series, because we're both Wes and I are Cubs fans, that was like, okay, like I'm finally done being crazy about grown men playing with the ball. Like I still love sports, watch it, gamble, all that stuff, but it's like you needed like a moment to like flip the switch and then it's over. Like, and in terms of being like psychotic about it, because you see these like 50-year-old dads painting their face at a game, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you see that too, like like middle-aged guys like saying stuff on the internet to like a 19-year-old like wide receiver like at school, and it's really cringy, honestly, man. It's it's like the most boyish thing you can do,
Well,
so.
And God forbid fighting like at a bar or a stadium
Oh,
over
yeah.
teams. Like you're
No,
gonna,
Wes, was it you that, or was it I that posted? Was it a softball game? The dads just
Yeah.
start beating the shit out of each
Like,
other.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
It's kids with a ball, man. Come on.
The
Yeah.
signs
dude.
at like Little League, it's like your son is 7. He does not play for the New York Yankees.
Yeah,
Like-
man. I'm glad I don't see the world through that filter, because Jesus, man.
Yeah,
I'm glad, like, man, that for those folks not to have the self-awareness to realize like how they look. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Right. Well, speaking of self-awareness, do you realize how like good you are at music, or are you kind of just rolling with it? Because you seem like a very intellectual guy, one of the smartest guys we probably ever talked to.
Oh,
and,
man.
and a really good like chillness about yourself. Very
I-
little ego, it seems. So do you realize what people say about you're good? Do you realize what is said about you and your work and your music, or do you kind of just try to take it in stride and keep doing what you do?
Yeah, man, I definitely take it in stride. Because I don't know. I don't read reviews. I figured out after the first album that's not healthy. It
I
doesn't.
won't write one for you then.
Yeah. You do what
We'll
you
just
want.
share your
I'm kidding.
We'll share your
No.
performances and stuff.
No, I totally understand that it helps. It's just I don't read them because it's just not, to me, like my song. It's not something to be quantified, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like broken down like a sports play. But yeah, I just do my thing, man. I honestly, I write the songs for the love of it. I found this thing in life that I love doing, and that's the writing and the singing. I'm always working on guitar. That's not come so natural. I still take lessons. But it doesn't do me any good to start thinking that I'm some big deal, because
So you didn't watch the CMAs? You didn't watch the awards show?
honestly, I think we were playing.
You were.
Oh
because-
yeah, this is the story, Wes, right?
Dude, I don't even want to tell you this because I live in Chicago, where
Yeah.
you and Zach played here, right down the street, not down the street from where I live, but down the street from the college neighborhood I used to live in.
And it's close to the office.
Yeah. And I have to live tweeting the CMA Awards has become a pretty big part of not a big part of our business, but like it's something our fans look forward to.
We talk a lot of shit.
And
Yeah.
so part of me was like, oh, I'm definitely going to go to this show. And then I found out that it was on the exact same night. And I think the average person would be like, why would you give a fuck about the CMA Awards? Go see Zach and Charles just murder. And I just was like, this is, kind of what we do every year. And
Oh, so you had to
so
watch the
I
CMAs?
missed
Yeah,
Oh.
I like how you frame that.
To
You had
watch
this, because it is
fucking
not
CMA
fucking
Awards.
torture.
Well,
This
I
shit
heard-
is so bad. It's the worst ratings they've I think ever had.
I didn't see it, but I heard just kind of, I think just kind of a mix of like Twitter and Facebook and all that Jennifer Hudson played really well.
yeah,
She literally
stole the show.
stole the show
Yeah.
over every artist.
Yeah, there's always like, I remember 2015 when Chris Stapleton did
Yeah.
his live
Yeah.
performance of Tennessee Whiskey. That like changed country music.
Career,
Yeah.
So, that like, again, to stay on the positive, there's apparently some good things happening there with Jennifer Hudson playing a Willie Nelson song and absolutely killing it,
Well, and Carly
But
Pierce.
Zach and I did have a great show in Chicago that night. So I'll just go ahead and say you missed out big time, man. It was a great night.
You tweeted there ain't nothing like a Zach Bryan show. Like, what
Yeah.
about it? Because I feel like he's one of the most compelling story, if not the most compelling story in country music right now. Just
I've been
like,
thinking a lot about this, man. So, my dad has told me like, as throughout my life, like about what it was like when the Beatles came to America, and like just like the diehard fandom that they had. I'm here to say, and I'll die on this mountain, like I think Zach Bryan, like the energy that his fans have for him, it's got to be like some modern day version of that.
Wow.
you're making me feel real bad about watching the
so-
CMA Awards.
Oh, bro, yeah.
We're gonna take this.
You're gonna
clip and
regret. You're gonna regret that one.
I'm
for
gonna fly
sure.
out to like Ohio or wherever the hell you guys are this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in this is actually like his the whole thing's crazy. It's his first tour ever. And he's selling out rooms all across the country, every single one between 1,500 and 5,000, seaters. His first tour ever, just doing this all over the place.
Spent 20 minutes in a record studio his entire life.
Dude, and every single show, the whole entire crowd knows every single word for the hour and a half. Like, I've never seen anything like it. When he steps out, when him and his guys go up on stage in the show and they're about to start their show, you feel like you need hearing protection. Like, it is electric. I've never seen anything like it. That's the truth, man. I'm not exaggerating that at all. I've never seen anything like it. I'm not sure that I ever will. And dude, it's been an amazing experience just getting to be like a little part of it, just kind of like along for the ride. It's been a lot of fun. It's been one hell of a tour.
I mean, I don't know if there's two more talented, like if you're doing an NFL draft, right? We've tweeted this question out before. It's pretty fun, but if I had to take a couple picks, I don't know who I'm taking other than you two, like, honestly.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
No, seriously, it's like, there's very few people, like the way you described that show, there's very few people or bands that kind of had that energy. Like, like Whiskey Myers for me is like one of those types of live bands that are just like, holy shit, but it's slim pickings. Like, it's tough.
It's been crazy. I mean, it's just like just like the best people in the world. It's been unreal. We were in Sioux Falls. I guess it's been almost a couple weeks ago now. And so as an opener, you never take an encore ever. That's something you don't do. And I would never dare do that, except, I finished the opening set there in Sioux Falls, and the crowd started chanting for one more. I don't care what they say. As the opener, I'm getting off the stage, and as I go to get off, there's Zach's chanting one more.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, boss man says so.
Yeah.
It's his show. If he says one more, then I'm going to do one more. So I went back out and did Seneca Creek Acoustic for those folks as an opener.
Awesome.
And it was one of the most special moments of my life, man.
Wow.
I never, it almost brought me to tears, when I was playing it. It was real special. But, that's the kind of stuff that's been happening on this tour. I'm just here to tell you, man, they ain't all like that. It's been absolutely electric. Yeah. I mean, we've been bringing one hell of a show to all these cities.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, just literally, like, I think it's the most compelling story in music right now. Just what he's been able to do with, YouTube videos, recording stuff in a barn or a garage or his attic. Like, it's just.
Yeah.
He seems like a cool guy, like yourself, like a ace guy, like a cool dude, funny guy. Like,
he also said you could beat a West Virginia mountain lion in a foot race.
Yeah, man. I do run a lot.
Are you fast?
So that's not linebacker speed. That's like.
No, I got that like slow, steady speed. No, my 40 time never was really much to write home to mom about. I think the fastest. Yeah.
I saw Drayton Farley, I think maybe tweets you that you and Zach are like running marathons and stuff.
Yeah. I think Zach's running one this weekend. I think that's why, we've been getting after it on this tour. He's got one to run this weekend. I'm just hoping that I'm not huffing and puffing when I'm hunting next week.
And we really appreciate this because I was on your Instagram, you caught some trout and you were wearing the Riff Outdoors t-shirt, which we appreciate. Are you more into fishing, hunting, or is it a combination depending on the season, or what do you think is your go if you get to pick one? Or
I love them both.
Yeah.
I love them both. I'm a lot better at hunting because I've been doing that my whole life, and even bow hunting since I started high school. I'm a beginner at fly fishing. I fished my whole life, but I started fly fishing in 2018. So right now, like, that's like real exciting for me because I'm able to like see myself get a lot better, and I'm learning new things every time I go. But I love them both equally, man. Honestly.
I need some pointers because I just moved to Colorado last year. The fly fishing, like even when you go to like Cabela's or whatever, it's like its own little thing, and it's like expensive and confusing. I grew up fishing my whole life, and
Yeah.
it's just like not even the same thing almost at times.
Yeah.
If there's one piece of advice, what is it? Just you got to just do it and keep at it. It just seems like it's not easy. That's what I think.
No. Yeah, it's not easy. The most difficult part about fly fishing is just learning to have a sense of what to use, what fly to tie, wherever you're at the time of the year, the weather and all that. And I think the only way you really get that is experience. You can read about it and stuff, and that'll kind of give you a starting point. But the only way is experience. I'm figuring that out the hard way, usually every time I go out. And yeah, you got to get your rod, your reel, and, it does help to have some sort of a boot and wader situation. But, once you do get that, then you're set, man, and the thing I remember, like when I just gotten started, I took a fly and cut the hook off, but left some of the metal, like, so it'd still have a little bit of the weight, but just took the sharp hook off the end. And I would go out in my yard and cast, just cast and cast and cast. So that way, at least when I started going to the river for the first time with the fly rod, even though I was awful, I was like competent at being able to place the fly in the water and not just straight up be hitting the branches all day long.
Is there fly fishing in West Virginia, or is that more of a Western?
No, dude, West Virginia. Yeah, West Virginia actually has great fly fishing. We have native trout, in a lot of our streams and rivers, which, that means the habitat's great, to have native brook trout. We have a bunch of wild trout from, the rainbows and the browns that do get stocked. They spawn, and they have healthy, wild offspring all over the place, man. We have, when you're in the mountains of West Virginia, man, I think that's some of the best fly fishing in the world. Out west, around, in Montana and stuff, like they get, in Patagonia, places like that, like they get way bigger trout. But, it's just as fun. Yeah. Like as far as the enjoyment of fly fishing, I think you get it all, everything you could ever want in a place like West Virginia too. It's just a little different setting. That's all.
When I'm just getting into it and trying to learn and all that stuff since moving out here and getting back at it. And I was at Cabela's, and I was like, man, I remember this being a lot fucking easier when I was a kid. It's so extensive, just the either kind of fishing, but all the stuff. And I was like, man, this was so much easier when my dad was kind of being like, hey, put some chicken liver on a hook and we'll catch a catfish. It was that's how it was growing up. It was simple, get a little bobber, you're good to go. Now I'm trying to get not trying, naturally I'm getting nerdy about it. And it's just it's overwhelming. And I'm like, shit.
Oh yeah. You can get into all those weeds, but honestly, man, with the fly rod, you just go out and you pick a basic little pack that's got some nymphs or a couple caddis flies on there, and just tie one and give it a whirl, man. Just fish.
I will.
Fish
I'm
hard
gonna send you a message and tell you how it goes.
Hell yeah, yeah, and dude, and once you get that first one, it's
you're hooked.
Oh yeah, I don't know. You just, with the way those little fly rods are, you feel like you got a monster no matter what you catch.
Yeah,
so it's exhilarating. Yeah.
Well, and then the attack is a little bit like topwater bass fishing, where you're kind of you get a big splash and you're like, oh man, that's kind of the fun part of.
Yeah, it's so fun seeing you do make that great cast, you present the fly well, it drifts down a little bit, and you get to watch a fish come up and take it, and every instinct in that fish's body is saying that's real, and you just tricked it. I don't know, it's something primal.
Yeah. What's your favorite fish to eat? What's your favorite
fish to eat is grouper. I love grouper.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man. That's my favorite part about the beach is getting fried grouper sandwiches and stuff.
I saw some controversy. I'm a big food nerd, but red snapper, you see that on a lot of menus.
Yeah.
And apparently there's like a black market for like fake red snapper. So a
Oh,
lot of
for real?
times, yeah, it's like not actually that, but they can like disguise it to look like it. And it's actually a lot. Red snapper is not cheap. Like if you try to get a real one, it's like that's
Yeah.
fancy restaurant shit. So it's interesting, like that there's like this whole other world of like trying to trick people into eating fish
Well,
that's not.
Even like Chilean sea bass, isn't that just like kind of a made up word?
Oh, it's a made up word. I forgot the actual name.
It's like Patagonian toothfish, or
it's one of the ugliest
toothfish?
fish you'll ever see in your life. And
Yeah.
basically the marketing, they realized like we can't call it this.
I
Put
think
it
it's
on a menu. And it's so ugly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
monkfish too. Have you ever seen a monkfish?
Yeah, I have.
But then the liver
Yeah.
tastes like foie gras. Like it tastes
Yeah.
like it came from a goddamn duck. So it's like it's so weird.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I didn't know that about red snapper though. I've had it before. I used to catch that on the party boats going out of Destin, Florida. And I've had some great red snapper before. I didn't know that folks were trying to disguise it. I could see that though. Like it's real white and flake, it's great fish. And I mean,
Wagyu
I don't
beef,
know.
they do this. There's similar where people like say, oh, this is like a Wagyu burger or whatever. It's like this beef that's been like pet and like just off and everything. And then it's just
they
like
massage it.
Yeah. But it's like, it's really not probably a lot of times. It's like when you see a real piece, like in Japan or something, you're just like, holy shit. Like, but
yeah, there's that one, like, if you can actually see the steak, you can't fake that.
Yeah,
like when you see a real Wagyu one with how thin, but how full that marbling is through the entire thing. You can't fake it. Like, if there's like just those big, like real thick lines of fat, they're just not like, then it's not it. Yeah. That Wagyu, I don't know. It's amazing that they figured that out.
Right.
Yeah. I remember my granddad was a cattle farmer. I remember showing him a video of them feeding those cows beer and massaging them. And he didn't know what the hell the thing. He was like, what the fuck is going on?
Buying strippers for a cow.
Dude, I love doing that.
Yeah.
I was talking with some of our people here, our team, and like parent stuff. Like my parents, my dad was born in Croatia, my mom was born in Serbia. So there's like a lot of like Eastern European influence to whatever food or like cultural funny stuff growing up. But like my dad, like he would make like literally 200 pounds, like 50, 60 pounds of like cabbage or like a sauerkraut, like in a drum.
Yeah.
Like you saw it like in Breaking Bad when they were like disintegrating bodies. And it was just in the basement. And we made it. And then I show him like Whole Foods now, like in a bag. They'll sell like sauerkraut for like $9.99. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm like, oh, hip people buy sauerkraut now. He's like, it's just like, what? How?
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's all good for the gut flora, as they say.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Look at this shit. I got a
There you
fucking
go.
kombucha right here.
There you go.
That was something I tried making myself. That was a nightmare.
Oh yeah, my wife tried to make kombucha too before.
It's just like,
Oh,
I'd
man.
rather pay the $5 a fucking bottle for it.
I don't even know if I've ever had kombucha.
Oh, it's really good.
I know my friends talk about it, but I don't think I've had it.
I think the biggest thing I've noticed when I moved to Colorado was like the amount of people that make their own beer, but like make it and make it really well. It's kind of crazy because I heard the Sam Adams story. I think the guy that's Jim Koch, I think is his name. He it took him like a decade to like perfect it, and it tastes like absolute ass when you first start making your own beer. It's really hard. But I come here and then there's like my neighbor's got like he's like brewing beer in his garage. I'm like, oh, this is fucking awesome. Because growing up, my grandma would make like Serbian moonshine in like a shed, out of plums. So you can ferment anything, as you know, in West Virginia.
Estonia probably had a version of that.
Wasn't Estonia where all the bodybuilt, like the world's strongest men come from? Isn't that one of the countries?
I think Iceland.
No, I know
the
Iceland
one that's
for
got the
sure.
real strong dudes. Now,
Yeah.
Estonia has the largest population of supermodels per capita in the
Wow.
world. That's something I remember they took great pride in.
That's why you went there.
Yeah. And now I remember the thing there is, man, absinthe.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what
Oh, licorice.
Yeah, blacked out on my 21st birthday on absinthe. That stuff was
I heard
brutal.
that's the original recipe would like make you go crazy, right?
You like hallucinating?
Yeah, I don't think there is a good or a bad recipe. I think it just is what it is. And yeah, I think it puts holes in your brain. Maybe that happened right around the same time I decided to play music for a living. So
Just
Well,
opened
maybe
it
it's
up.
maybe you
Is
had
it-
to drill out the right spot to think that was a good idea.
Is that you mix it with a little water and it turns like milky? Or am I
Bro,
thinking of
no water is in
No.
that at all.
It's
It
like
needs
green,
water.
right?
I might be mixing this up with something from Greece. Sorry.
Yeah, I remember the bottle. The bottle was kind of green, but the liquid kind of was like it was clear, but with like, if I remember right, it had just like the littlest like tint to it.
Like a white wine almost.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Yeah,
Well, they like
something-
don't they like drip it like down a thing and it, like the originals? I don't know.
I don't even know.
But I
You
hate.
could-
I'm
you
not a
could-
big
you could-
licorice guy.
You could pour it in a car and go. Like it was awful. And yeah, I remember that was the thing. I went to this bar called Moku, and my friend, and it was my 21st birthday. I think that was actually the last time I was actually clean shaved. I clean shaved that day for some reason. I was like, I want to be clean shaved on my 21st birthday. And yeah, my friend, we won a beer pong tournament there at the dorm area or apartment building that we lived at. We cleaned up those Europeans. They suck at beer pong.
I was gonna ask, were your
And-
flatmates European or from the States or?
Yeah. They're all my flatmates were European, but then like right down the hall, a couple guys that ended up, have become some of my best friends were American. One of them was a buddy of mine from Arkansas, another one from Colorado. Actually grew up out there in Loveland. And so we cleaned up there in beer pong, then went to this little bar called Moku, started pouring the drinks, it's my birthday, 21st birthday. And I just woke up the next morning with a bucket. So I only have a few pictures, and that's really my only memory of the night.
Man, speaking of your beard, I think I've seen a couple tweets, but like you get confused with Grady Smith, the YouTuber?
Yeah, he says that all the time. Like he says, like people always walk up to him and ask him if they're like, "Hey, are you Charles?" I've never had anybody come up and ask me if I'm
so
Grady,
it's the other way around. Okay.
but it's happened to him a lot, and I definitely get it.
You guys do look alike, especially
Yeah.
if your hair wasn't a little bit shorter. It's pretty crazy. I think.
Yeah, I'm growing the locks out right
Well,
now.
as long as you get that little flip, you're good, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to match my son. See, he's got some gold locks growing out. I want to grow mine out. So we
Dude,
can both have
same.
long
So
hair.
my wife and I are both dark, like brunette or like dark features, brown eyes, and our son is blonde hair and blue eyes, and his hair is. I'm like, you're not fucking cutting this.
Yeah,
Like he's got a mullet now. It's got a mullet. I slick it back after bath time, and it flips out. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But
My son's got the
During
same
the
thing.
day, depending on what he's wearing, if I take him somewhere, like there's been like always like old people are like, oh, like they like compliment. But he's gotten called a girl a few times. I don't care, but
Yeah.
I want to be like, yeah, it's a mullet.
Yeah. It's kind of
But
hard to tell at that age,
Yeah, it's so he's
I
like a year
get
and a half.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, God damn it, come on.
How old's your boy?
He'll be 2 next month, so
Nice.
he'll be 2 real soon, just a few weeks.
What's his name?
Gabriel.
Gabriel. Cool.
Gabriel Wesley Godwin.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's a fucking name that's gonna do something in life. It just sounds like a name.
Sounds like
Yeah,
a wide
he's-
receiver for the University of West Virginia.
Hey, I'd be one proud papa. I'll be proud of him no matter what. But yeah, that'd be awesome.
Oh,
Where'd you say you guys were heading? Because you got to load up. We heard here. Soon.
Oh yeah. So we're in Tulsa here today. Yeah, we got 2 nights in a row at Canes. And
wow.
I'm in an Airbnb right now, just about a mile from the venue.
Gotcha.
And we got
What's
night
the,
1, man. It's gonna be crazy.
What's
Iconic
the drinking situation? Like, can Zach, if you were gonna play linebacker, right? You must be a pretty big guy.
Oh, I'm not that big, man. I'm 6 foot, like 185.
Oh, you're literally exactly my size. That's
Yeah,
exactly how big I am.
that was the whole reason why I wasn't going to make the team. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you're more like you're more
Now,
a safety or like a slot
no,
receiver.
well, I was 215 when I
Oh,
tried
okay.
out.
Oh.
I used to be real strong.
What do you
But
bench?
you're asking who can drink more, me or Zach?
No, who can bench
Me.
more and who can drink more?
Zach could bench. Zach could probably break me across his knee, and then I could probably outdrink him for sure.
What's your go-to for a drink?
When I'm working, I like Miller Lite. There's a beer back home that I love called Halleck Pale Ale from Chestnut Brew Works, but I can't.
Shout out.
I can't be like drinking that all the time, like that craft beer stuff.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? So
totally.
yeah, I drink Miller, then whiskey of choice. I like Bullet.
Yeah, Bullet's good. Bullet's good.
I love beer. It's my go-to, but I just can't do the craft beer stuff for more than one or two before I'm like, your tongue gets that like coating on it. You're just like, ugh, I need like a Coors Light to like cleanse the palate.
Yeah. You can have a full night.
My
drinking
wife,
light beer.
I tweeted this. We went to a brewery, and my wife was like, "What's the closest thing you guys have to Coors Light?" And I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like, I was like, "Do not embarrass me. Like, don't ask these questions if I'm here." Like,
Yeah. You just got to get the blonde. You got to get whatever they got. If they got a blonde,
I'm always like, "Hey,
you
I'm
get.
like, I like whisper. I whispered to the guy recently. I was like, "Hey, what's like the lightest thing you have, like Pilsner style?" He's like, "Oh, we have this raspberry." I'm like, "No. Forget it. It's like,
not fruit, but also light.
the only fruit I
Yeah.
want in my beer is a lime. If it's Corona,
Yeah.
and that's where it stops. There's no. I don't want any raspberry flavored beer. It was pretty good, but
Yeah, man, dude, I've had a good one. So my wife and I, we used to live in Athens, Ohio, for a handful of years.
Oh, we were down there a couple times for a festival.
Yeah, dude, that's like a big beer town. They got great beer.
College
And
town too, right?
Yeah, and before we lived there, I never fancied myself like a fruity beer guy either. But there was one Jackie O's Raz Wheat that was awesome. Yeah, hell, that was one of the beers we had at our wedding. It was great.
Where'd you guys get married? Back in West Virginia?
We got married actually in Virginia at my aunt's husband has a beautiful farm in the Shenandoah Valley outside of Stanton, and it was just a perfect place to get married. So just across the ridge line.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Dude, this has been a lot of fun. I
feel
like we could probably talk for 3 hours.
I know I can keep this going until 8 o'clock.
Yeah. But let's just wrap up really quick here with like what's like your favorite song from the album, which is kind of a dumb question that I usually don't like to ask, but I like your album so much that I want to know.
Yeah. See, my favorite song from the album, man, I love
you did reference Strong by like organically earlier.
Yeah, I love that song. To me, like it still gets me pumped up even when we're playing it. The instrumental like gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
And man, that's such a tough question. Then I really love, How the Mighty Fall moved me when I wrote it, like in a way that I love all my songs, but that one really moved me when I wrote it. Yeah, but I'm gonna say Strong. I'm gonna say Strong.
There's that part.
Song.
There's a part because I listened to it like 12 times straight today at the gym and driving. Right in the middle where like it like takes a little uptick in the instrument, and I'm like that part. Like I'm like, whoa! Like I know what you mean. Like I get jacked up. Like get a little chills
that song, man. That's one you PR to. You run through a brick wall. Want it to be like a workout. A workout montage, Rocky getting ready for Drago.
When the music's so good and you're working out at the gym and you want to tell people what you're listening to, that's when the music's good. I had that for that song when I was writing it. I knew I was like, man, this is I want to see like a Rocky workout montage to this song.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, Needle Fall Down has been the one on repeat.
That's a great one.
which
Yeah.
I also heard the previous version this morning. Didn't realize they were with your other.
Yeah, it's an old song.
Yeah.
That's one of the first I ever wrote.
So I listened to that like 40 times in a row, and then I was like, oh wait, there's another version of it. So then I listened to that 40 times in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the few. I don't know if I'll do that very often, is bring one of those first songs, back up. And yeah, I felt like that one fit well with the thread of How the Mighty Fall, with like that mortality thread that threads them all together. So I thought that was a great song to put before Strong. I wanted to put the lowest, the low, and then have somebody have the come up,
Yeah,
the comeback.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I would say your music makes me kind of like almost like fall in love with like West Virginia in a way, and I've never been there. And I think that's a really cool thing that you're able to do. And
I take pride in that, man. I take pride in that because it's a beautiful place, and it's very inspiring to me. I think it's gorgeous. There's nothing like it when the leaves are at peak. I think it's, at certain points of the year, it's the prettiest place on earth. So yeah, I take great pride in that, and I love how different it is. So much of the world has become so much of the same, just because it's so easy for people to move nowadays, and the internet and popular culture kind of just makes everything pretty uniform. It's kind of hard to see the differences from town to town and place to place, and West Virginia still has a lot of character that's just uniquely its own, and I love that about it. That's also my home, so I'm biased, but I do love it.
This was an absolute blast. Even a bigger fan now. If you don't mind hanging out for a minute when Wes has stopped record, I had a question for you. But Charles, you're one of the most talented people out there, and we can't wait to share your music more with the fans. So,
well, I appreciate y'all having me on, man. It's been a pleasure.